Three, two, one, ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 321 Ghost. I'm your host with a silent G, Kyle, and joined, as always, my esteemed colleague, co host, dear friend, Natalie. How are you, Natalie?
So good. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kyle.
Gosh, what is, I don't know, anything new and spooky with you lately?
Yes, actually, I don't know if anyone will have any interest in this whatsoever, but
I do.
I I've been working on making my bathroom spooky,
Love it.
not not for Halloween, just for all the time. I just suddenly realized I was like, you know what? This bathroom looks too much like a regular bathroom.
So
So
is
I
it
thought,
like,
go
oh,
ahead.
no, go. Oh, I was gonna, so are you just like splattering like messages in blood across like the mirrors, putting sharks in the
Yes, real
toilet?
blood.
What?
No, no urban legend stuff. No, I got a cute planter that looks like an actual like human skull, and it's got a little plant coming out of it, so that's fun. I got some art that is little like anatomy book prints basically. So it's like it shows like the spine and like all the Latin words for the name of vertebrae and all those things. Made it a little bit more dark in there, some dark carpets, some dark light switch covers. So it's coming along nicely. It's kind of I'm going for like a spooky laboratory vibe.
I like that. That was the the second room I built in Animal Crossing. The last one that came out was I was like, first I need my like lounge spooky welcome place, which reminds me a lot about a house, a room in the mansion that we're going to be talking about today. But the second one was definitely building an evil laboratory, and there were plenty of skulls, plenty of,
Mhm.
weird knickknacks, and your Bunsen's and your beakers, so to
Yeah,
speak. You got your
I
chemicals,
got
you
some
got your
bottles in
compounds,
there.
you got your mortars, you got your thistles, the whole set, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Gosh, I'm in this house now, and I was just starting to think about Halloween decorations. By the way,
Mm.
everybody, this is August 2nd, August 3rd. We're talking about Halloween right now.
Oh,
Never too early though. I
absolutely.
was trying to figure out, of course you're seeing the Spirit Halloween signs start to pop up and all the
I
old
think they open August 1st. I think they should all be like opening up. Am
I
I am
I
I
did
wrong in thinking that?
well, I looked into it because I googled it, right, as you do. Um Unless you don't. But trying to find like, what were the hours at the one that's like down the street, from my job. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, so I can take my lunch break and go, walk around. Especially when it first opens up and, you got
Yeah.
like it's all fully stocked and you get to see everything. And now that I have like a yard, I'm like, what sort of like 8 foot
Oh,
skeleton should I put out there? Still negotiating the finer details,
full
with my
support.
wife. But yeah, the but I was
What
trying,
will they allow?
yeah, and but I was trying to, and I couldn't find the hours, and then they all said closed, and like all the ones nearby, and it just said opens
Mm.
August, and I was like, okay, well, when the fuck does it actually open? And then I see the flagship store, which is in Jersey, that opened like July 28th or something like that, and that's a
Yeah.
whole to do,
It's a whole
and
like party.
yeah, which I don't know. Maybe we set up a Patreon and they fund us to, fly out. You know the
I
people
already know my way
there.
around.
You're from Jersey, right?
Yeah, I already know my way around Jersey.
Yeah, so we'll blend in just like the locals. Um so we won't get the tourist look. But yeah, so I couldn't find out like exactly like when the opening date was. So I'm just probably just gonna swing back by over there on my lunch break tomorrow and just see what's up, you know?
That's a fantastic idea. They, I've already gone to Home Goods, Michael's. They already
Hmm.
have all of their Halloween and spooky things out, but the intention wasn't to shop for Halloween decorations. It was to shop for things that I could buy for the house that could pass for regular decor during the normal time of the year. And then once October comes, then I'll buy like Halloween decorations. This is the year though. This is the year for my giant, either inflatable, I don't know, Grim Reaper or like those 15-foot skeletons, something like that. Joel has said no every year. I think I'm just going to do it without asking him. He's just going to come home and it's going to be there on the front lawn
Take that
in
power
all its
back. You should do
glory.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is
Right?
your house too, right? It's
Yeah.
your lawn. This is your
Yeah.
life, right? Come on. Get out of here. You know what? Good. I'm glad that you and I have each other to just,
Yeah.
yeah, to really hype each other up in our giant inflatable monster decisions. So
They're just ruining each other's marriages.
love it.
They're
I see no, but
fun
see, let's
Halloween.
I'll give my wife some credit. She's definitely more down. She's on the more on the down with all of these things than
For
your
sure.
husband. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the only other spooky thing in my life is, gosh, I've just been talking about board games left and right. I picked up the new Scream board game by Funko. Come on, y'all, sponsor me. Let's make it happen. But damn it.
Who are you playing these games with? Are they single player?
Well, so I bought Final Girl on accident. Well, no, I didn't buy it on. I mean, I bought it intentionally, but I didn't realize that it's a single player game. Like it's a one person situation.
Mm.
And which is nice. I'm glad they make board games. Lonely people like board games too. Come on.
Well, that's what I'm starting to get concerned that if you're just buying a bunch of single player board games.
Now, and now Mansions of Madness, you could play it one player if you're just like controlling at least like two characters. You're playing as two different characters going back and forth. Like, yeah, you could do it, but that's, you know, ideally you want, more people. It's more fun that way. And then I fucked up with the Scream one because it's a minimum 3 players to play. So yeah, sure, I can corral my wife into playing with me, but my dogs are useless. They don't have the thumbs needed to answer a phone call from Ghostface.
I'm assuming it has to be minimum 3 players because one person has to be Ghostface and two people, or possibly two people are Ghostface and one person isn't. Because
Or all
otherwise you just yeah, or all 3.
yeah, all 3 don't earn. Yeah. My understanding is that no one is Ghostface.
Oh,
You're all working together to escape Ghostface, and there's like an app, and then
okay.
you can get like I think like phone calls from
That's fun as hell.
right.
I love
So
it.
we'll figure it out next time you're up here. We'll be like we have to play a few rounds of Scream.
Yeah.
Um, so I just love board games so much. I was actually thinking about it, like I'm such a dork. Like even when I was a kid, I remember my favorite board game as a kid. Well, I mean, Clue obviously is the classic, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I would play, and these are just more like like roll dice, more your standard kind of family
Hmm.
Parker Brothers type of board games. But like there was a really kick-ass fantasy one that's like real like RPG light called Key to the Kingdom. I think that one was super dope. I remember that one. And then I remember like getting like, sheets of paper and like taping them together and like drawing out board games, just coming up with bullshit rules and like, pieces, and like maybe it'd be like a Power Rangers one, maybe, or maybe it'd be one that just like it was more spooky themed, I don't remember the finer
Wow.
details, but I
I
loved that shit.
never had any interest in board games until adulthood. I As a kid, my entire family is extremely competitive and they love board games and they love cards. And I'm just not a competitive person. Like I'm in it for the fun when it comes to games. So for me, it was just not fun. I never enjoyed sitting down with them and playing board games, but now that I'm an adult and having an 8-year-old, what the fuck else are you going to do with them than like go places, play video games or play board games? Like
Yeah.
I'm not playing with action figures. I'm not going to build a fort. So we've gotten heavy into board games, and all of the horror themed board games I'm not going to say he's too young for it. He's like the how to comprehend how to play the games are too like or above, what he's capable of at this point, I think. And they usually entail a lot of like include a lot of reading, and we're not there yet. I think the contents are fine. The murder is fine.
Murder's
It's
fine.
the reading that's the problem.
Right, right. And I remember, gosh, even younger than that, I was like, I was a big fan of Hi Ho Cherry-O. That's a good
Mm.
one. Big fan of the one where it was called the like grape something but it was like little like like Play-Doh was a component of this thing, and you had to like mash little, I don't know, Grape
You had a
Escape.
lot.
I don't know.
You had a lot of board games. Did your
Board
brothers play these games with you, or were you playing them with friends?
Those ones I remember playing at friends' houses. I didn't own any of these. I remember one that I did own that I would bring over to friends' houses was there was a Goosebumps one in the 90s that was real fun. Again, love, the spooky parts. And gosh, I remember even though when I playing with those they're like the mini travel board games, so you could have like a version of like Clue Junior that was like,
Yeah.
real small, and then it
Yeah.
had like, it was I forget what you call that thing where it's like, you have to like put like a red like lens over it, to be able
Oh
to
yeah,
see
like
the
the
hidden
decoder.
picture. Yeah, yeah, and I remember there's a lot of that with the detective stuff, like remember dumb
Yeah.
detective toys I would play with as well. So it makes a lot of sense that my favorite, sub genre of horror is dinner parties and games. Whenever that is a
Hmm.
central component, you'll get a boo at the very least. I will never give you less than a boo for giving me a good, dinner party game situation. And so we started talking about, let's see, a couple episodes ago, we did Would You Rather.
Hmm.
And then last time we talked about The Invitation, also dinner
Hmm.
party, but had a game. Even
Had a
though
quick
that
game.
had a quick game, didn't make too much sense, but sure, whatever. But I'm
Quick
glad. Hey,
failure of a game.
it's like, hey, it's like give me, just give me a little taste. It's okay.
Yeah.
Um, and then the movie we're talking about today, which is 2019's Ready or Not, directed by Radio Silence, who is comprised of Matt Benatelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. I am totally reading off Wikipedia right now. As well. So,
Does it
um,
bother you that they call themselves Radio Silence and don't just go by their names?
it only bothers me because I was briefly in a band in high school called Radio Silence,
I
um,
recall.
until they turned into a band called Dark Haven, and man, metal's really hard to play, and I was not good enough to play it. But damn, I tried. Um, I was all over the place in high school anyway, and so it's funny. So I can't think of like Radio Silence other than, or just without thinking of that band and those guys. I mean,
Yeah.
they're all great guys. So it's just always the other Radio Silence, those guys.
Okay.
Yeah, damn. So now Radio Silence. I mean, those guys are known for they did that segment in VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, probably more well known now at this point for doing, Scream 5 as well as Scream 6. And then, we don't get a whole lot of breaking news because we're usually talking about movies that came out like in the 90s. But did you hear they're not coming back for Scream 7?
I did.
You know.
Um, that was just recently announced. I wonder why. I didn't take the time to read any articles on it so far, but it's a little disappointing because we got two out of them, and I think both movies were quite fun. I think they
Yeah.
did a great job.
I think so too. My best guess, and I mean I know there's also like the strikes, the writer strikes and stuff that are going on right now, and
Hmm.
which I'm sure is slowing down a lot of it. But I think, they came, Scream 6 came out, what, like 13 months, 14 months after Scream 5 did. And I'm sure, and
Hmm.
then Scream 6 is now at like the highest grossing out of all of them. So they're like, fuck, dude, we can't slow this train down. Like, you need to give me Screams like every year. To which I'm like, give them to me. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I could totally see the way those guys would be like, we kind of want to make like another movie first, or at least one in between. And they're doing some like monster movie that like also has Melissa Barrera in it, I believe.
Interesting.
I can't remember. But did you see who's doing Scream 7 though?
Yeah, interesting choice. Christopher Landon, and it's funny, the article that popped up on my Instagram feed was from iHorror News. I don't know if you follow them at all.
Yeah, that's of
They
course
share
that's how
some.
I got it too.
Okay, perfect. That they presented him as the director of Freaky, and I was thinking to myself, it's an interesting choice. I'm assuming that was his last film, and that's why they chose that, because he actually has quite a few quite a few movies that I think most horror fans would be more excited to hear about, like Paranormal Activity 2 and 3.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, I
He
mean,
wrote them. He didn't direct them.
yeah, he
That's
wrote
why.
those. I mean, I think, next best thing, right? Because I mean, like
Mhm.
Freaky, and then you have it's I think it's based off Freaky. He also did Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You.
Mhm.
The second one, I don't know, kind of overstays its welcome a little bit. The
Happy
first one,
Death Day to You.
yeah, but the first one's
I
great.
only watched it once and I remember not being a huge fan.
Yeah, and so I get it. I'm just like, okay, like it seems like, people that do some sort of horror comedy situation, like I don't know who else is doing it that's as well known as, the Radio Silence guys. So
Mhm.
I don't know. But yeah,
But
this once I heard that Radio Silence was doing Scream, I was fucking a million times on board because
yeah.
this movie in particular, Ready or Not,
Yeah.
um, is fuck. It's just so much fun, and
Yeah, it really is.
I, of course, it scratches that itch. I love. I love the game situation, especially like with this, where you have your family of this old wealth, but the old wealth is like they're like the Parker brothers, just these
Yeah.
it's all just like from these like fun like board games, and like I wish I had a better list of the all the fake board games that they kind of show as they go through, but a lot of them are like kind of winks to what's going to happen later on in the plot. Like
Yes.
one's called Family Ritual, one's called
Yeah.
Sunrise, and then
Yeah.
there's some more like silly ones, they're like plays off like ones that more famous like board games that we would know in real life. But
Mhm.
so I'm already on board. Once I heard about this movie, I think it kind of came off the radar. I feel like I heard a little bit. I don't know. I think I saw that maybe it was like coming out that week, and I was like, oh, what is that? And I looked it up and saw the trailer, and I was like, holy shit, how did this get by me? But
Did you see
no,
it in theaters?
I did.
I did too.
Probably like I want to say three times probably. I think one of the times
Really?
are you sure one of the times wasn't with you?
That's possible.
Where I was like, we have to see this fucking movie. It's so good.
And you had already seen it.
Yeah. I think I went and saw it by myself, and then I saw it and then I was like, Megan, we have to go see this movie. And then we went and saw it. And then I was like, I think I was down in San Diego visiting or something. And I was like, we got to go see this movie. It's so good.
Yeah,
But
that sounds about right. And it would have been in 2019, obviously.
mm,
So, yeah, I remember seeing it in the theater, and this movie is a perfect example of a movie that I think deserves a theatrical release in the time of streaming, and is fun to watch with an audience. And I remember the audience having a lot of fun with it. Like there was a lot of laughter, a lot of reactions to Samara Weaving's just incredible performance. She from beginning to end, every reaction that she has, every facial expression she has is perfect and so convincing and exactly how I would be acting and feeling in that scenario.
Oh yeah, I put in my notes. I put star 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 Samara Weaving A plus plus plus, perfect delivery, LOL reactions, and just those like
Yeah.
guttural screams. You
Oh
know,
God, so
oh,
good.
she is. And I hadn't seen her in anything before this.
Same.
But she is fucking incredible in this movie.
Yeah. And I will say this, I'm going to say it again because I think this is another movie that it's extremely important that things are not spoiled for you before you watch it, because the mystery of whether or not this curse is real and whether or not this game actually has stakes is part of the fun. So there will be spoilers. We're going to spoil it all.
But the I admire the bravery. I think that's the word, the bravery, the courage of someone who will just listen to us talk for 2 hours about a movie they haven't seen. I I don't know who that person
Bravery,
is, but
bravery is the word that you're choosing.
yeah, I
Okay.
just, whoever you are, I I hear you right back and I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. You don't have to do anything she tells you to do. You know what? You're politely
Love it.
suggesting,
I'm
but
politely suggesting. I mean, you
yeah,
can listen to this whole episode and not have ever seen this movie, and hopefully, we will capture the essence enough that you feel like you went through watching the movie.
yeah. Now it could be argued that this is not a dinner party movie because you do not see dinner being had, and I'd like to hear
You
your
don't
thoughts on that.
see, it's funny because I thought about that too, and this is taking place on a wedding day. So you would think that there would be a dinner party, like that you'd have a wedding reception. There's ample, ample opportunity. And the movie actually is quite short. I think the runtime is an hour and 35, and that's with the
Love it.
credits. Yeah, it's a perfect length of movie, but I'm like, we could have seen some dinner party going on, or the game could have started over dinner, but I know we had to start at midnight. Could have been, a late dinner. Everybody's up, they're partying, they're celebrating. But I would say, do you feel that this movie, it definitely fits into our game category, but maybe not dinner party, but it has the vibe. Would you say that this movie is a horror movie?
Um, no more of a horror movie than Death Becomes Her is.
Yeah.
I would think, I think that there's like shocking parts, but then even the shocking parts are always played for a laugh generally. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say, yeah, like, as using Death Becomes Her as a comparison, I think both are spooky, both have paranormal bits, both have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
violence, but
Mm-hmm.
it's fun violence, but
Yeah. So we're on that horror comedy feeling.
yeah. And gosh, I do love a horror comedy. It's just, they don't come out often, and
Mm-hmm.
well, sometimes it's, the comedy is real cringy, because I don't
Yeah.
mind if the horror is kind of like, yeah, goofy, like whatever, but yeah, if the comedy is cringy, it can be a little tough. But I have
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably bring it up later when we talk about kind of our final thoughts, but I have kind of a short list of, there is a lot of really good horror comedies, over
Oh
the
yeah.
last, 30 years or so. But yeah, so the whole kind of premise of this movie is that Samara Weaving, who does, explains that, is without a family of her own, doesn't really know her family growing up, is marrying into this dude's family who's very rich, and they love board games, or well, at least they made their money off these board games, right? Now, would first of all, I'm like, do people still marry people without meeting like any of their family? Or is that just a thing? I don't know. Is that a thing rich people do? I don't know.
I have never heard of that happening. other than like, I mean, in modern society, I should say, modern American society, maybe even like specify even further. But did she not meet them? I don't know if that was like actually established. That was her first encounter.
I'm fairly certain, but I don't know. If I'm wrong, I don't want it to derail the whole thing afterwards. But
No,
I'm pretty
I
sure that
think
she hadn't met them.
I think that you're right, but I'm assuming she met them like before the wedding day, maybe like the week of the wedding,
Sure, yeah,
maybe.
like all that, yeah, that makes sense, right? People sometimes a wedding,
Yeah. And
yeah,
she definitely had met his brother, Daniel, because she mentions in the beginning when she's talking to herself, like pretending to recite vows, she mentions his brother who gets drunk and hits on her.
right,
So
right,
so that implies that she's at least met him a handful of times,
yeah,
but maybe not the parents and the extended family and all of
yeah,
that. But I just don't see that being a thing. And I would guess since he's from a wealthy family of old money, he's living a wonderful life off of that and not having to interact with them because of the whole Satan worshiping thing.
yeah.
Um, you know, religious differences. But yeah, that's strange, especially too because they're so wealthy. Like maybe I'm just like them, but I want to meet someone who was marrying Phil if we were like multimillionaires. Like I'd be like, I need to get to know this person because I need to know their intentions. Like, is this true love or are they just in it for the cash?
Hmm. Yeah, like I wonder if someone's like, hey, you could marry into a board game empire.
You do it
Hmm.
just for the board games.
I think I would, but the thing is, like, but it's like, oh yeah, but you won't, the downside is you don't get to meet my family until the day of the wedding, and I'd be like, oh well, okay, I don't know, I think I'd do that. I think I would also maybe probably, make that pact. I'd to if I was the original, how do you pronounce it, Les Domus,
I don't
but
know. I don't want to butcher it.
right, right. Ah, well, I already did, so we're good.
Yeah, that's okay.
um,
Yeah. So she's like talking to herself in the wedding dress. She's smoking. I think that this is really interesting. The whole relationship between her and Alex, because I think they said that he's been with her for a year and a half.
mhm.
And he Daniel like bursts into the room when they're having their romantic pre-ceremony conversation and does that like snarky joking, you could always back out, like you still have a chance. And then Alex like seriously says it to her. And I wonder to myself, is that like how they let themselves like sleep at night, that they're like, well, we asked her, like we put our cards on the table. Oh, that works because it's a game. Um
uh
I was thinking that I think that's really interesting. I feel like it's almost like a subconscious way of getting around some of the guilt.
well, I still thought it was funny, like when he's leading her through the service halls or whatever, before she goes to the kitchen, you and she's all like, why didn't you tell me this, and that's blah 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 blah, and she's like, well, we could have eloped or blah blah blah, and then I did like, he was like, well, you wanted to get married, this half like, this is kind of on you, you're the one that wanted to get married.
Yeah.
But same thing, like, just like, that dude is an asshole, pretty through and
Oh,
through.
he is a complete piece of shit. And how how I knew that at some point he was going to turn on her was in the moment where he says, if I told you, you would have left. And if I didn't propose, you would have left. So one, he's he's putting blame on her because he's saying you would have left the relationship either way, but then he's also being completely selfish. Is there a chance Alex, that maybe you could find yourself a nice lady that doesn't need to get married. Don't find a woman that wants to be married. Like there are plenty out there. They exist.
I feel like, if you explain it in a certain way, I feel like Grace would understand. Maybe,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'd be like, look, we're still getting access to the fortune of, or maybe, I know they're kind of estranged from the family, so, but yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, I know he's just like, yeah, if I told you, you would have left. And it's like, well, yeah, yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I would have
Yeah.
left. Well, because the thing is that, so the whole point of this is that they, the Le Domas person makes a deal, or,
Mhm.
the great grandfather of the head of the household, um,
Mhm.
makes a deal with Mr. LaBelle, who's the devil, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then they have to
Spoiler.
play. Yeah, then yeah, sorry, spoiler
He's the
alert.
devil.
That they have to play. He's the fucking devil. So they have to play this game every time someone is married into this family. But yeah, sure, okay. One of the cards could be ready or not, or sorry, one of the cards could be a trick or treat. Sorry, hide and seek. Sorry, you
I love
know,
that you came up with all sorts of different options.
all the things. Yeah, I know. I keep calling the game ready or not, but it's not.
Yeah.
Um, so you have, so you either could play, like the who was it, Fitch, as well as oh, I always forget her name, Charity, who is the two people that
Mm.
married into the family were like, oh, I got Chess, I got Old Maid, and I'm
Yeah.
like, sure, you could always pull the card that isn't hide and seek, but either way, you're still committing to this pact with the devil. So now
Yeah.
you have to murder somebody, maybe. And is any of that explained to them too? Even if they just pick like Old Maid or Chess or something?
So what it seems like, because at one point in the movie, Daniel is talking to Charity and he says, "When I told you, you didn't like bat an eye, like she was ready for it." I originally assumed that he told her after she pulled her card and they played whatever arbitrary, non-life threatening game that they played. But now that you're saying that, I wonder if he actually did tell her in advance and she didn't give a shit. She's like, "It's worth it. I'd rather be dead than go back to where I came from."
All
So
right.
I feel like they either told them in advance for I don't know. I think for Fitch, I would assume that he found out afterwards and then just like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Like not believing that it was true because he spends the whole movie trying to, you know, figure out if this is in his moral compass or if he even really has to participate.
Yeah, I know. I did like how kind of towards the, there's a part in the movie where like everyone's really kind of questioning like, oh man, like, you know, it's like, the head of the house, the dad, he's like, damn, couldn't have negotiated that eradication clause, right? And then you have Fitch and Charity, where Fitch turns to Charity and says like, at what point do we cut and run? Like, can we do
Yeah,
that? And it's like,
yeah.
and all these things where I am thinking about, just like how, and I do appreciate the movie does answer, I think, most of the gaping plot hole questions that I have,
Hmm.
where I'm just like, well, what about like cousins and shit, and then, but he does, fuck, I always forget the people's names in these movies. um,
Which
when he's
one?
when he's telling Grace like, oh yeah, like it happened to my cousin Rachel and this happened and like yeah, they died the next day. So it's like,
Mm,
but then I just stopped wanting to think about like, well, how far does that like family expand? How far does that go? Like cousins of cousins of cousins, or is it just people that, do you get X amount of the percentage of, I don't know, the company? I'm not sure how,
you went
Mr.
way
LaBelle
more
works this.
you went way more deep into thought about it than I did. Where I was getting
Yeah.
stuck was what happens if everyone just stops getting married?
Well,
Then what? Like
that was the
what
thing.
if they're all their children decide not to get married? Is it
Yeah.
like then is that it? Or does Mr. LaBelle at some point say, all right, well, we're going to have to sacrifice someone anyway, or you're all going to blow up after a certain amount of time because I need you all to keep entering people into this family and playing the game.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that the devil would figure out some way to be a dickhead about it. Or at least
Oh, yeah.
this sort of cartoon version, I think he'd probably figure out a way to be an asshole about it. But that was my thing, where it's like, you have these are not complaints, by the way, but
Yeah.
it's just me just like criticizing these awful people that like you like what was it? Both Adam Brody and the cocaine sister were
Mm,
out
I
in
love
the
her.
cleaning up around the goat pit,
Yeah.
and she was saying like, well, but my kids don't deserve this, and I'm like,
Mhm.
well, you knew about all of this and you
Yeah.
like brought children into the world, like they didn't get to choose to be a part of this
Hmm.
fucking curse with the devil. It like, at least if you married in, like at least there's that option, if they're nice, to tell you ahead of time,
Yeah.
here's the situation. But like, you're all having like children in this, so I'm like, and not that I think that it's demonstrated that this woman does not make the most informed, responsible decisions, but I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody is shedding a tear for you here. So,
No.
or
Or
your
those
stupid fucking
kids.
kids. Mm-mm.
Yeah, or those kids. This movie is such a great movie for anyone who doesn't like kids. It's perfect because the kids are shitty. They're shitty kids.
Mm-hmm.
Even Alex and Daniel as kids are shitty kids. And then the young kids are shitty kids. When he shoots Grace in the hand,
Mm-hmm.
like there's nothing that brought me more joy than seeing her whack that kid right in the face.
I love
He
it.
deserved it. He had it coming. And he was destined to be a terrible person because his mother literally smiles at the fact that he says that he shot her because he was trying to do what everyone else was trying to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's like so proud of him. And I'm like, he was gonna end up being just as shitty as the rest of all of you. So yeah, this is
Exactly.
this is a great movie for people who don't enjoy children because they're there for literally for the purpose of getting them to be like a joke and like getting hit and
Mm-hmm.
hurt for laughs, which I think is really great because a lot of times when you see children in horror movies, you're like, oh, great. Now we have to deal with some character trying to protect them the whole time or, slowing them down. And you start to think about all of those things. But these kids are they're just here for the ride.
Yeah. I love it. I know we're kind of jumping around all over the place, but I
I like it.
she pulls the hide and seek card. She's like, okay, this is weird. You start playing that
Mhm.
lovely song.
This is the best.
It's so good. And she doesn't realize it is a game, or it's, she doesn't realize what's actually happening, until is it Alex, the name of the fiance?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it, Alex. They're like hiding behind the bed, and then the first of the maids gets shot in the head by the younger sister. And now I know that in a great part in the end of the movie, she says that she wants a divorce. But at what point in the night would that thought have first entered your head? That I want a divorce from this man.
As soon as he said you wanted to get married, that would have been it for me.
I would think the
Because
second.
of like just satanic curses aside,
Yeah.
if you went into a situation where you think you know your partner and everything about them and you trust them so much so that you're willing to get married without even having met their family, and then you find out that they have a huge deep dark secret that was never told to you and directly involves a life or death situation for you,
And a lifelong commitment to a pact with the devil,
to
right?
to possibly having to murder other people, and then you having the audacity to say to me, well, you wanted to get married, Absolutely not. That would be divorce right there. Also, you're within less than a day, you can annul that shit. She doesn't even have to go through the process of divorce. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some sort of return policy. I think it'll be fine. I yeah, I see. Now, granted, the thought would have first entered my head the second that first maid got shot in the face right next to me, because I'd be like,
That would
there's no
solidify.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
there's no coming back from this. Like, even I'm like, regardless of
But
what.
he may not have known. That's the thing. Like at that point, when the maid gets shot in the head, you can correct me if I'm wrong. He knew something was off, but like she doesn't know how much he knows or how deep things are gonna go.
Yeah, yeah, good point. That's fair. I mean, maybe because I know he did say, he's disconnected from them, so maybe I don't know, he
Yeah.
try some bullshit. But I don't know. I'd be like, I think even with the best intentions, I don't know if there's coming back from that. It's pretty
Yeah.
intense. But
Yeah, that's pretty bad. The other thing that comes up for me, and this was a similar topic with Would You Rather, is
mhm.
what connection and benefits are these, like the wait staff, getting out of being employed by this family? Like, what's his name? Steven, the
Stevens is the
butler.
butler.
Stevens is the butler, and he is so dedicated, so dedicated. Like, was he going to blow up as well if she didn't die? I don't understand what on earth would make you so motivated to be that dedicated to this family.
Yeah, right. Like, unless, I mean, because they're certainly not paying him the money like that everybody else would be making by just being in that family, right? So
Yeah.
he's got to have some sort of a commitment. I know in Would You Rather, I think the dude just, I didn't understand. Outside of the fact that he just liked to torture people, that,
He seemed really into it.
yeah, and really bummed
Yeah.
out when he couldn't do certain things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And I'm like, even like yeah, just those poor maids. Um,
They seem like
it's
they might not have known exactly what they were getting into, because some of them, the way that they react is there's three.
There's three, yeah.
Yeah. They seem like they maybe didn't realize that their lives might be at risk.
I know. I loved yeah, and just the same sister killing the first two. And then you have just like an H2O, you got another good dumbwaiter scene here.
Yeah.
Um
I guess that makes me glad that we don't have them in most households.
yeah, that's not really a thing unless you have like more than like three or four stories in a house, it feels like, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
That way
But
you don't have to go up many flights of stairs. It's cheaper than an elevator.
that's true. And then you can hide like spooky little kids or cats or something in there. Like, I'm trying to think, wasn't it like I feel like there's same thing with the hockey skate kill. I feel like I see a lot of dumbwaiter deaths in my brain right now, but this was a good one.
I can't yeah, I can't think of any of the others though.
Yeah. So, well,
And
we'll have to
she
run it up.
deserved it.
Yeah, she deserved it, and that was the thing. Yeah, all of them were gonna fucking rat her out right before they died.
Yeah.
So that's what
Bunch
you
of
get.
snitches.
That's what happens. Um, I Yeah, gosh, again, I just can't speak enough to just like how dope Samara Weaving is in this movie. Um, I don't know if you saw, she shows up, or at least someone dressed like her in the subway scene in Scream 6.
No, I didn't notice that.
There's a bride with
Oh
yellow
yeah, yeah, with
Converse.
the ammo.
Yeah, yeah, with the
Yeah,
ammo. That's pretty rad.
that's
That was a
fun.
I know, just her reactions are everything, because like even you have that slow-mo shot after she's like torn off like the bottom of her wedding dress. She's like covered in blood. She's got the ammo and the shotgun and the Chuck Taylors, and she just looks at herself in the mirror and just goes, Jesus.
Yeah.
Her reactions
Yeah.
are pretty priceless.
Oh yeah.
After, she knocks the kid out, just calling him just a motherfucker. Or when
Yeah.
she's escaping out through the gate and she tries to the guy, the guy pulls over for like half a second and then like peels out. you know, just screaming like, like, oh, fucking asshole, little dick, motherfucker, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. Yeah, it's
I
fucking
I feel like
rich people.
her reactions are so genuine and exactly how any normal person would react. And everything that happens to her, like in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, feels very like played for laughs. But there's this like tonal change somewhere in the middle where when she falls into the pit of the dead bodies,
Yeah,
like the in the farm, that part feels like really rough to watch. Like she is suffering. So it's like right after she gets shot in the hand, she falls in there, she vomits, then she's climbing up and she puts that nail right through
yeah.
her already wounded hand and has to pull it out. Like that whole bit there is just sad. I feel just so sad for her.
Yeah, the goat pit sequence was rough. I
Yeah.
yeah, I made a note of like those like specifically just like where, oh, just when she's climbing up the stairs has the hole in her hand and you see the nail and you're just like, oh my god, she's gonna do it, Josh, it's gonna happen. And again, that reaction and that scream that just comes just right just from like the depths, you know
Yes.
is so good. And then when she's again, climbing through that gate, right? And then you see the quick shots and it's cutting her open, like
Yeah,
going through
it's
there. Like
bad.
that was, oh geez. Um it's good. I like the just a lot of the blood, a lot of the practical effects.
Mhm.
I was like watching the special features on this the night before, and
Mhm.
and then talking about the kind of the end scene and how that was used with like they literally just had like plates of just exploding meat that just would just blow up, just shoot just bloody meat all over the place.
So good.
It's so good. So yeah, just the attention to that, just it's the finer details of this, what makes this
Yeah.
movie great.
And the deterioration of the dress is really fun to watch from beginning to end because it's so white and just beautiful and immaculate. And as that first rip that she gets on the dress, she's like, oh shit, shit, shit. Like she's ripping it on
Yeah.
accident. And then she goes into actually like tearing it. Then she's getting cut into through it. And then by the end of it, it's literally so soaked in blood that it's almost like a deep purple color.
Yeah.
And it's it's fun to see it just degrade into what it ends at. And she's just covered in blood.
It's so good. I gosh, I know we jumped all over as far as the plot.
Hmm.
We're not really following it beat for beat like usual, but
No, that's
um
okay. Maybe let's talk about the family. I'm curious who your favorites are, who maybe you could do without.
who is my favorite? I would say, dang, it's hard because I think like Fitch is a really fun character.
He is fun.
Um
And Fitch
it-
is a character that could easily be annoying if it
yeah.
wasn't like written and like acted well. But I think, let's see, the actor, I think he did such a good job at just being like the perfect amount of funny and not playing it too over the top. But I do
Uh,
love Fitch.
yeah, I think his jokes land really well. I God, they all bring something pretty great. I don't know if there's anyone I could do without. I think they're all
I know
dang.
I do love all of them. I think they're all pretty great.
Do you have a
So then
favorite?
who's your I think I do have a favorite. I don't think you'll be surprised. I really like Aunt Helene.
Yeah.
she
She's on like a different
there's
level.
she is on a different level of just bitter, angry, life just taken away from her from this game, but she also looks fabulous while doing it. Like, she has that full makeup face, that aggressive, like, her hair kinda, like, points back almost like it's like a flame or like it's, like, wind blown,
Yeah.
and I just love when they're doing the photos pre-ceremony, and she's just sitting in that chair, just frowning, staring at Grace. I and she just gets just more elevated. Like, she starts, like, really, like, quiet and calm, and um, she says, "Brown-haired niece," like, "You continue to exist," when she sees her. Um, I just think she's such a great character, and I aspire to be her when I'm that age.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. I this whole this whole family gives me vibes of another dinner party, but the dinner scene in Beetlejuice,
Mm,
it's like it makes me just kind of think of all of them, and then
ah,
also I don't know, I feel like this game in itself is very much, like I love Clue. Like I said, the game as well as the
mhm,
movie is one of
mhm,
my absolute favorites. But the when you have all the different kind of rooms in the house, and you have a mansion that does look very much like a spooky old money murder mansion, and then you even have each of the characters, not completely right, so it's a stretch, but you have Aunt Helene, who is in purple, and then you have Andy McDowell, who is in the navy blue, and then you have
mhm,
Adam Brody, who's wearing kind of like the greens a little bit,
mhm,
and then you have Charity, who's in that like champagne color,
mhm.
and then even like the dad is in kind of like the blues and silvers. It's like everybody,
Yeah,
it's almost like they're all fucking little game pieces. They even, I mean, Jesus, they each all get their own separate weapons too,
yeah,
and it's a whole thing when they're handing them out. So the Clue vibes are
yeah.
off the scales here. So I really appreciate that, and just love how just that kind of attention to detail, where it's like it feels like
Mhm. I
watching like
love
a fun
your
game.
I'm loving your attention to detail on the costuming. That's great. I never picked up on them all wearing different colors.
Not completely, I think
Not
there's some like,
completely. It's subtle, like, it's in a believable way.
and then you have of course Grace in white, and then of course then just becoming bloodier and bloodier and bloodier,
Mhm.
and red as it goes. But yeah, so geez, it's just like watching this movie is visually a treat for me. I would love
Mhm.
to, even under those horrifying circumstances, I would love to spend a night in that house and just run around and experience it.
Yeah.
Maybe not having to murder somebody or be murdered, but like what if it's one of those like nice ones where it's like, let me just like come over and just like play like one of like your guys' board games, like one of the normal,
Mhm.
one of the normal ones. Like, it'd just be cool.
I
But
think the only character, and I won't say that I could do without this character because she's essential, is Becky, the mother. I love Andy McDowell. Um,
good save.
and I think that she yes, 'cause I knew you were gonna come at me. I love her, but her character feels very disingenuous the whole time. Like, she says that she likes Grace. She goes up to her and is joking around, about like they didn't like me either, fuck them kind of thing. But her whole motive is to get Alex to be back with the family. Like, that's her whole reasoning for being nice to Grace. And she's even using the excuse of liking Grace to try to talk Alex like through the situation and to be with his family and reiterate the importance of family. So maybe it's not that I dislike her character, but she's the least fun. She's more she feels more manipulative and evil in a different way than the father does, because he's just money hungry and is just doing what he needs to do to keep his empire going, whereas she's playing it in a completely different way, like this emotional manipulation with her sons.
The
So
emotional
yeah, she
manipulation, the leaning on family, it's
Mhm.
very. I think she was Vin Diesel in a Fast and Furious. You're just one bucket of Coronas away. One bucket of Coronas and a good barbecue away. I love the just how everyone's intentions are kind of all over the place, yet everyone's just still going through the motions, right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
even like, I mean, more clearly demonstrated by like Adam Brody, but who's kind of back and forth, kind of just floating along, just kind of doing what he wants to kind of just add to the chaos. And, and while being ultimately, I don't know, man. I don't know if he's such a good guy, but I think yet again, just when everybody else was talking about like, can we pull out of this, or like, oh, I need to do this for like my kids, because they don't
Mhm.
deserve this, and and then Helene really just almost out of anger just wants to do it because she had to do it. So it's like I feel like everybody's got their intentions or their reasonings or whatever, but just continue to kind of push through when they just know how kind of fucked up it is. I did, but yeah, I don't know.
It almost feels like Daniel, Adam Brody,
Mm.
doesn't
Oh,
want to be the one to get his hands dirty. Like, he doesn't want to do the killing, or, the one he didn't want to have to be the one to catch her, because then he
yeah.
feels responsible. Again, I feel like he's like trying to make himself feel better. I think he was trying to wait until someone else caught her so that he wouldn't have to handle that burden and someone else could. And then at some point his conscience got the best of him, and that's when he like actually helps Grace. But he seems to be going really back and forth on, like, he clearly truly believes that like something bad is going to happen to the family if she doesn't get killed, but he doesn't care. At the point that he helps her, he's like,
Yeah.
fine, like if it happens it happens, if it doesn't then great. I also can't remember who at what point says this. It might have been Alex. He says that they believe something really bad will happen to the family and doesn't actually explicitly say death. And I think that's interesting because my interpretation would be like, oh, you just lose all of the wealth and fortune if it's just something really bad.
I feel like he may have, I don't know, may have been more explicit about it. I do know that, they were dodgy around like how they would die. I remember like,
Hmm.
even Fitch was like, oh, well, I thought that one couple died in a fire, right? And then Henry Cerny, he says like, oh, well, that's what the media wants you to think, this and this and this and this. But they never explain like, that they're just gonna literally just like just meat sacks just explode all over the
Which is
place.
just the best. Was there ever a point when you watched this movie the first time that you thought maybe the curse wasn't real or the deal wasn't real and they've just been going through this ritual thinking that they're all going to have, dire consequences, but turns
It would
out, whoops.
be it would be so deflating to go through all of that and then have because they try to play they try to do a fake out where everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, sense up, we're okay, all right.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of just like, all right, checking themselves like, okay, my limbs are still here, this and this and this, which I mean like would be kind of funny in the like, but the joke wouldn't last very long, or be that
No,
impactful, right?
it would just shift into what Aunt Helene tries to do anyway, of them being like, well, we still have to kill her because we've been trying to kill her all night.
Yeah.
So that's where I thought it was going to go the first time that I watched it, because there was such a long pause. But I do love how they all react like a vampire would when the blinds are open and
Yeah.
the sun is there, they all kind of like cover their faces and duck down as if they're going to burst into flames from the sunlight.
And then oh my gosh, and then when they all start exploding, it was like it was just the grin just from ear to ear, just
Oh,
seeing
so good.
everybody panic. Again, seeing, yeah, and then it's off screen, so it's a fine compromise where like the mom and the two kids run off, and then you just hear the blah blah blah, the
That was
all three
great.
blow up,
Yeah.
just in case
Like
there were
balloons
any questions.
popping.
Yeah, it was so good. And Samara Weaving again, she's just laughing
Yeah.
as everyone's.
But like prior to that laugh, her yell, I don't know if you want to call it a yell or a scream when she gets a hold of that knife and she's like backing herself into that corner.
Oh yeah, guttural is
That
like the
is,
best word I could come up
yes,
with.
that is the best sound for someone who has just been through so much shit that night with a group of
Yeah,
people that's been trying to hunt her and kill her. Like, it feels so real. It's so good. And just to switch from that into just completely relaxed laughter because she was ready to fight for her life in that room and then discovered that she didn't even have to because
she
they're all
made
just
it.
going to blow up.
She
Yeah.
won. I love it. And then, and at the again when she makes it very clear at the end to Alex, you know, it's like, babe, I love you. She's like, I want a divorce. And then the timing throws the ring and he blows up. And then and then she's, wiping the
Yeah.
meat pieces out of her mouth and just
Ugh.
goes, fuck.
Yeah. Because she
And
sees Mr. LaBelle. The flames like come out of
oh, right, right.
the fireplace and he's just sitting there and she's just like, fuck. Like that would be my like my exact reaction. And just like, oh fuck, he's real.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I so that ending alone made it pretty like that's what pushed it over the edge, because I was thinking like, okay, this would be a really fun movie and a really great movie if it ended up like not being a real curse or whatever, but just the commitment to it, and then especially the way in which everybody just
Yeah.
just how violent it was, it was
I
pretty good.
this this might be a strong statement or high praise for this movie, but it's probably one of my favorite endings of a horror movie, at least in the past, I'll give it the past 20 years, maybe in my top favorite endings of a horror movie, because I have a lot of favorites that I wish the ending would have been a little bit different, or I wish there were more answers or less. This the whole third act is
Mhm.
so fun and exciting. And the whole time you're just like, what's gonna happen if they don't kill her? Like I
All the
have to know.
chanting.
All the chanting, like, and even like Alex turning just into a complete like asshole. Like, it is very scary when he like grabs her by the head with his two hands and is squeezing
Yeah.
her, and she's like, "You're hurting me." And then when he turns around and covers her mouth, she's like screaming underneath his hand. That's another amazing acting
Oh,
moment from Samara Weaving. Like when she's screaming underneath his hand, like that is genuinely scary. I think that is probably the scariest part of this movie. But um yeah, like that whole third act is so good and the ending is so fun. I just remember sitting there just waiting for something to happen. I was like, what is going to happen? I have to know if this is real. And it is, and that makes it so much more
it
enjoyable.
and they hold off on it, I think, just for the right amount of
Oh,
time,
just long enough.
and then and starts going, and then the fire starts. It starts playing the song again. We're all warped and shit. Um,
And
uh,
it feels very clear to me that Mr. LaBelle slash Satan is enjoying fucking with them on the timing of how the
Yeah.
order in which they're blowing up and the timing, because as soon as Aunt Helene went to kill her, he's like, nope, like missed opportunity, and lets Alex last a little bit longer so that he can quiver in fear and, try to win her back and explain himself. And I think at that point he was just respectfully like, she's earned this moment. Like, I'm gonna wait till the perfect moment to blow this guy up.
I love it. Ah, yeah, again, just that commitment makes it work, right?
Mhm.
Um so before we get to our booze, and I mean, I think that we've been pretty open about talking pretty positively about this movie. Is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of anything else we haven't covered?
Think I covered everything. I don't have very many negative feelings about this movie. I can't, as I was watching it, I was really enjoying it. And I've seen it several times and I still think it's just as fun every
Hmm.
watch. Do you have anything that you would have changed, or anything that you felt they could have done better?
Maybe seeing. I'm not gonna hold this against them, and I'm not gonna call this a negative, but not making those children blow up off screen. I'm like, you know what? Bring them back in the room.
You wanted
Let
them to
me
blow up on screen.
let me see it. That would be my one thing, but you know what? People get bummed out about that. So, hey, even I didn't like seeing that baby in Final Destination, right? So, maybe I have some internal uh barometers, parameters, I don't know, whatever the word is. Who knows?
They make up for it. I think they make up for it by the that like that they don't all just splatter all at once.
Yeah.
It's super fun that it's
It's so
like one after the other. Yeah.
maybe that's my thing. I'm okay with violence towards children. You just have to demonstrate that they're asshole children first,
Yes.
so that
Yes.
makes it okay. um but yeah, no, that's really it. Otherwise, no notes. Do you want to share your boo ranking first, or would you like me to?
Who went first last time? Was it me?
I never remember.
Gosh,
That was
I
a
have
whole week ago.
terrible memories.
Yeah, you should
I'll
go
go
ahead.
first. Okay, I'll go first. You know what? Before I shared, I this is the most this is one of the more recent ones that we've done,
Yeah,
and I'm pretty picky when it comes to letting new movies into my like favorites category.
yeah.
And this one really has my heart. And I would recommend this to people who don't like horror as well. I really would,
Yeah.
because it does have fun. I would say if someone isn't a huge fan of gore, maybe they might not like it, but even then, it doesn't hold any gore for too long. But yeah, this is a great movie. Ooh, how many boos do I want to give it? I don't premeditate on any of this ever.
I love it. Sometimes I've changed just like mid sentence, so it's okay.
And this was my first exposure to Samara Weaving, and I think her performance alone gives this movie a full boo.
Yeah, definitely.
Game aspect is going to give it a full boo.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining, it's very rewatchable. Gosh, I'm going to give it 4 boos.
It's high praise.
Mhm.
I like that. I agree. Sadly, Samara Weaving was completely ignored when Oscars rolled around for this movie. Otherwise,
Mhm.
clear front runner. And unfortunately, as I had mentioned before, a few episodes ago, that there's no more Blockbuster Entertainment Awards for which to nominate her.
So what do we
Otherwise,
live for?
yeah, that we'd get angry. It'd be snatched from her hands from something undeserving. Some I still know what you did last summer equivalent. And I like that movie, damn it. But this movie, I was talking about just like horror comedies in general, you know. And I was thinking like, well, okay, well, how many great like horror comedies are there? But it's like, gosh, I can just, you know,
Did you make a list?
I made a short list. It's not
Let's hear
comprehensive,
it.
but you know, you have some recent ones like, and by recent I mean like last 15, 20 years, but you know, like Zombieland, you have
Mm,
Slither, you have
mm,
you know, again, Happy Death Day and Freaky,
mm-hmm,
you know. um Jennifer's Body I think counts, also with
mm-hmm.
Adam Brody. um
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
mhm. I know we should probably just do Jennifer's Body eventually,
Yeah,
huh?
we should probably.
Yeah. um you know, the Chucky movies, if you want to count those, they've taken that turn,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Shaun of the Dead, What We Do in the
Mm,
Shadows, as far as like, you know,
mm-hmm,
the more. And then, you know, of course, you got like Evil Dead 2,
mm-hmm,
Beetlejuice,
mm-hmm.
Ghostbusters. I would not include, I
That's
wouldn't
a
include,
great list.
oh yeah, and I know it's totally not even like comprehensive, but like, I still think like this movie with this cast, with the board game situation, with Samara Weaving for the rewatchability, um, it's this is one of my fucking like this is a five boo for me.
Ooh, I was teetering between 4 and 4.5.
This movie is a perfect five. I would not change a thing. Other
Wow.
outside of maybe, you know, give me come on, let those children blow up in front of me. But outside of that, this movie is funny. It is
Mm-hmm.
spooky. It is, and it's just so just silly and campy. It always knows what it is, and it just
Mm-hmm.
like is really just stays in that just perfect gear the entire time. You know, I
And
don't think.
everyone is playing it exactly how they should.
Right. And I'm like, I want to see a stage show of this movie. You know, I want to see like with blood splattering everywhere. You have to be like on a, you know, you need ponchos in the first couple rows. I think that's how the Evil Dead musical was. Um,
Oh, that's fun.
but this movie is, dang, I'm like, I will recommend this movie to literally anybody, just like you said. I mean, I don't think the horror's too much. The gore can, you know,
No.
isn't too bad. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm desensitized. And it's just such a fun premise. It's such a weird premise that you have to like really just buy in on a lot of things to just enjoy it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like, you know, it explains itself enough. It is,
That
fuck.
explains itself more than enough. Like, especially when you're dealing with, demonic deals and things of that nature. Like, you don't really I don't think you need to get into the nuances of it. I think that they do a great job of explaining that and giving me enough to work with that I'm not questioning things the whole time. Like my questions are very arbitrary and I think could have answers. Like the what if they stop getting married or any number of things.
Yeah. And
Like what if they got divorced? That's a like what if what if you got divorced and just for not for the murder things, like you're just unhappy in your marriage.
hmm,
Are you still tied to that curse? Like, will you need to show up to every wedding and be ready to play hide and seek?
yeah, dang, good call. I don't know. See, these are things we're never
But
gonna know.
they're not enough. Like they're mostly like it's just I want to know more out of curiosity more than anything else. But I do think that this is a really perfect movie and I might need to sit on my ranking, but I'm sticking with four boos for now. Maybe because I really feel that to be in that five boo category, maybe you need to be around a little longer, like or in my heart longer. And it's been 4 years.
I maybe I just like Grace, you know, I fall in love so quickly, you know, maybe I just I love to love and be loved. And I don't know. this
I'm just starting now logging our boos on the movies. So I have to go back through all the other episodes.
Uh-huh.
If we have anyone who really loves listening to us and they want to do it for us, that'd be great. I'm going to go back, log all of them, and then that way we can have like a recommended 5 boo movie list, 4 boo movie list, however we want to do that.
Yeah, if anybody loves listening to us as much as they love Excel spreadsheets, um, that's all we need. Anything else, don't even
Yes.
worry about it. Um,
Yeah.
a couple, it's funny. I was just thinking, maybe I do have a couple stray notes. Um, like I said, I do appreciate how it's like sometimes some of those eat the rich movies are, I don't know. I feel like
A little too on the
don't
nose.
it's on the nose and don't really like hit the mark. But I do appreciate where it's just kind of demonstrated by just like how shitty they are with their weapons, how no one's good at what they're doing, and
Hmm.
everyone's just kind of panicked the second, like, yeah, like anything, just this stressful situation happens.
Yeah.
Um,
They even
and
rely on Stevens completely at that one point when he's
oh yeah,
got her in the car. They're all just watching him do all the work on the phone.
that was going to be my last note, was when she was trying to escape in the car and she uses that like emergency call with fucking
Oh yeah,
Justin.
Justin. Oh,
Fucking Justin. You know.
fuck Justin. I love that
And
he says, "Is there anything else I can do for you today?" And she says, "Yeah, go fuck yourself, Justin."
yeah, I love that. But I just thought that was funny because he's just like, I'm sorry, my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do. And I just made a note, you and I, both have extensive retail and customer service experience. Um, there is That is not a true statement. When you say my hands are tied, there's nothing I can do. Anyone in customer service will tell you that's not true.
There's
There's
always
abs-
something you can do.
there's absolutely something you can do. I just don't like you, and I'm not going to do
Yeah.
it. So believe me. So I was like, Justin, you dickhead. What's your end game here?
So
So
Justin could be our one character that we did not like,
yeah, but
just for doing his job.
hmm, yeah, maybe. Come on, Justin. Yeah, yeah, 5 boos. I love this movie very much. I'll recommend this. If anybody has made it this far and took my advice to just not even watch it and just listen to this whole podcast, I know I told you that that's
But
okay,
you're
but
regretting that now.
yeah, but you're probably regretting it now. So don't listen to me. Um, but 5 boos, go watch that movie. It's so good. Um, yeah, I don't know. I love it.
Right.
Gosh, I think sometimes it's harder to talk about movies I love so much because I'll just say I love this, and I don't have any
Hmm.
critiques, and I don't really need to make fun of much of it. This movie is just absolutely perfect, just the way it
It
is.
is. Yeah, that was three in a row of dinner party and or game themed movies. We need to talk about something that we don't like.
Yeah,
That's what we need to get on the agenda. Maybe it's just a question of doing a newer release and getting a little bit more critical there, or finding a movie that we don't agree on.
yeah,
And there's a few of them.
yeah. I know. We'll see. There's a few coming up, definitely. So we'll touch base on all of that. But I do appreciate everybody humoring our impromptu dinner party detour on 3, 2, 1 Ghost. This one, well, I don't know if you call the devil a ghost in this kind of situation. I don't know, but we'll see.
Mm.
Well, maybe let's find a movie with a ghost first, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll
Let's find
and then we'll go there,
if
go from
anyone
there.
knows of any movies that have ghosts in them. 13 ghosts.
That's got
That
13 of them.
is 13.
Jeez,
Jump
and
right ahead.
yeah, jeez. Okay, everybody, thanks so much. Thanks for sticking around. 3, 2, 1
Yeah.
Ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on Ready or Not. If you're enjoying our podcast, give us a follow on Instagram at 321GhostPod and spread the word to a friend or your brown haired niece. We would love and appreciate if you'd leave us a killer review on whichever platform you're listening on. If you're not too busy playing Old Maid, write us an email at 321ghostpod@gmail.com to share any praise, feedback, or to suggest a movie you'd like to hear us chat about. Thanks again for listening, and remember, if a group of adults you just met asks you to play hide and seek, get the fuck out of there. 3, 2, 1, ghost.